Greetings ladies and gents, and welcome to this patch video for Thief Lord from the website Royal Road. This patch video will contain chapters 47 and 48, and as always I hope that you enjoy, and if you do, please consider doing a double back somersault from a seated position, or if it's easier, subscribe to the channel. Chapter 47, Home is where the gold is at. A lot can be said about that fight, but at least we won. My remaining underlings gather around me, and I wince when I realize just how low their health points are. I lost half of my underlings, and the rest of them looked like they were far away from keeling over. The only solace I find in the outcome is that I managed to win the fight. I get to loot all the dead underlings' gear, and the small comfort, but the comfort nonetheless. Before all that, though, I need to take care of the reinforcements. They didn't despawn when Alzar died, and his death seemed to only further anger them, as the loud banging noises only seemed to have intensified. I split my underlings into 2 groups of 2, ordering them to further reinforce the barricades to try and buy us some time to restore some health. I would have offered to help, but I'm just too damn tired. I just plump down on my rear and take a deep breath. A bit worrisome that I haven't received a quest completion notification yet, but I can only guess it's because I need to return to Elf to claim my rewards. This is technically the first quest I've completed for this game so far, so I'm not too certain how things work. The job I performed are slightly different, and they are more like personal challenges than missions given to me by others. After taking a minute or 5 to rest, I force myself to start being productive. I'm still on the clock and I have a lot of work to do. I'm still in enemy territory, and there are enemies only a few meters away from where my position after all. I throw a quick glance towards my underlings who keep stacking the crates behind the doors before I head straight over towards Alzar's body. Rifling through his pockets, I can finally release the wide grin. I can see a few select pieces of gear that'll definitely come in handy. Noble's Rapier, rare, 32 to 35 piercing damage, plus 6 charisma, plus 4 agility, plus 2 dexterity, requires level 10. Padded leather armor of nimbleness set, rare, plus 35 physical resistance, per level gain, 2.5 strength, 2.5 endurance, plus 2.5 agility, plus 5 dexterity, requires NPC fighter classification, level 10. Tavern master key, soulbound, 16 gold, 5 silver, 9 copper. My exhaustion is quite figuratively washed away as I see the 2 items. Holy crap, 2 rare class items. Yes, please. It seems like Christmas came early for both Crowborough and me this year, and not a moment too soon. I could use the upgrade, and I've been relying a lot on my lieutenant as of late. It's only fitting that he gets an upgrade. This loot is great though, and there aren't many bosses around the world that are difficult to come by. Getting a boss usually requires at least a full party of adventurers, and the gear on the boss drops isn't as guaranteed to be anything useful for the ones who actually killed it. The exception in my case is that the boss is a part of a special class quest, which means that the loot will always be relevant to my class. It's a pity that there's a finite amount of these types of quests, and I'm really happy that I managed to pull through the end. Hell, I haven't even received my class unique item yet. I can't wait to see what it is. I equip my new sword and set inside the armor for Cobra, pocketing the gold coins. I make a note of the total number of coins in my inventory. 322 gold coins, 4 silver, and 5 copper coins. It's by no means a low number, but if I consider the huge cash influx I got from Anna, Greg, and Kevin, and the numbers paint a completely different picture. If I'd only relied on my own ability to gather gold, then I should have struggled way more than I really am. Subtracting the gold given to me, I'm left with a little over 2 gold to my name. 2 gold coins. That's 2 euros. That's not a good payoff after a week with constant gaming, is it? That puts me in a really awkward predicament. My dream is to try and live off this game, but it is not a very cheap thing to do. Everything I do in game costs gold, and there are limited ways to earn gold without needing to add money to the real world. Being a thief lord, I naturally gain gold easier than regular players, but my underlings have a really steep upkeep associated with them. Granted, I have managed to accumulate a lot of in-game wealth through items, but in-game items don't put food on the table. Back in the real world, I live a pretty Spartan lifestyle. The game subscription alone costs about €300 per month. Adding to that my monthly rent and appliances for around €300, as well as another €100 to set aside for food and other necessities, my monthly budget is around €700 per month. That means I need to gather at least 700 gold in-game per month plus taxes to afford to live off this game. When I've only managed to scrounge together €2 after a week, I'm really starting to worry. I only have enough savings in my bank account to pay for this month's upkeep until I run out, and I'm starting to fear that I won't reach my own deadline if I don't make any drastic changes to my gaming style. The good thing is that my underlings are all fully geared, and I have a decent stockpile of spare weapons and armor now. This should limit my expenses in the near future, but it's not enough. I also haven't forgotten about the large stash of crafting materials by a necromancer hid deep inside the forest, but I'm in no condition to venture out to retrieve it yet. Those items alone should be enough to keep me going for at least a month. I also have my rainy day fund, which is a skill book I found, but I'd rather not sell it. Skill books are valuable, and I look upon it with more like an investment in the future rather than an immediate source of income. I sigh. I have a lot of problems hanging above me, but there isn't much I can do about it right now. My main priority should to grow stronger, and I won't do that if I spend all my time worrying. I should just wrap things up here and go see Ulf. But first of all, I need to finish killing the reinforcements and check the area for any more hidden loot. I'm strapped for cash, so I should pillage anything that isn't nailed down to the ground. I get back up to my feet and head over to loot the 2 dead elite thugs. I'm pleased to see that they both dropped a set of armor each, as well as a single short sword. But the 4 gold coins they dropped probably brings me the most amount of joy for some odd reason. I chuckle a little at the thought of my very economically responsible thief. I'm about to head over to the room where the boss appeared from when a thought of caution strikes me. This is a thieves' den after all. I should probably be cautious about traps. Also, I'm a bit unwilling to head deeper into the compound without first clearing out the enemies behind us. Therefore, I get to work preparing to root out the remaining enemies. I decide to place a triple-charged DoD trap above the rightmost door. I estimate that there are about 3 enemies on the side door of the door based on the amount of yelling and cursing I hear. The problem is that I have no idea if the enemies are of the regular kind, the elite kind, or a mixture between the two. I only have 4 of my underlings left alive, so I can't afford to take any chances. These traps aren't that expensive, but they still take a fair amount of time to create. After securing the trap above the door, I have my underlings start removing the crates. After the final crate is moved away, the door bursts open and 3 enemies run into inferno of pain. The lead thug takes a full blast of oil-enhanced fire to the face, quickly reducing him to a screaming mess on the floor. The 2 cutthroats that follow fare little better as my underlings descend upon them. The enemies were all in the normal types, so they aren't all put up much of a fight against my underlings. I take particular note of Cobra after donning his new gear. I notice a remarkable boost in his performance during the fight. His movements are noticeably faster, and his blows shave off decent chunks of the enemy's health pool with every hit. The whole encounter ends with an overwhelming victory after only half a minute. The battle at the leftmost door goes about the same, very similar way at first. The door holds a regular thug and 2 prowlers behind it, and the 3 fall even quicker than the 3 former. This is not only because of my cautious use of GG traps, but also because prowlers are ludicrously weak when engaged in close quarters. The 2 battles are a resounding success, and I grin with satisfaction as I gain another 2 gold coins, as well as a set of light and shadowed armor on top of another crossbow and dagger. Not a bad haul at all. I have to say though, even though the reinforcements weren't exactly powerful, they would still have slaughtered us if they had shown up during the main battle with the boss. No matter how you look at it, the sheer number of enemies would have made the fight unbeatable, no matter how good my gear would have been. There is little to suggest that anyone else would have had a foresight to block off the side passages, and it was only dumb luck that I decided to play extra cautiously this time around. I suppose this quest set me up to fail, possibly to teach me some sort of lesson or something. I could always have respawned my underlings and tried again, but that would definitely cost me a whole lot of gold that I don't have. I may have gotten lucky this time, but I'll make sure to take a lesson to heart. It is what it is, though, and I won't turn down my spoils of war, even if I technically weren't supposed to survive. I've already gained an incredible amount of powerful and valuable loot, and I don't consider myself done quite yet either. Scouting deeper into both side passages, I don't come upon more enemies. The entire complex appears to be fully equipped with thieves' den, which should be capable of supporting an entire organization of evildoers. The passage to the left contains a rather large hall with a bunch of dummies, bales of hay with red target painted on them, as well as what looks like an obstacle course. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that this is a training hall, and I find a small room at the back with a sturdy door, which I can only assume is the armory. I have my underlings go over the 2 rooms, but sadly there isn't any loot to procure. Heading back to the first hall, I quickly make my way over to the door on the right. It opens up into a small hallway with half a dozen mid-sized rooms attached to it. One kitchen, while another is an empty storage room. The remaining 4 rooms appear to be different types of crafting stations, the types of equipment and furniture giving them functions away. I ponder for a moment on why they would need this many crafting stations, but doing some quick mental calculations informs me that it really makes sense. I've been wondering about the purpose of the exact quest for a while, and how it seems to coincide with the whole subject of being a villain. This place is perfectly created secret base, which is something any self-respecting villain ought to have. Hell, every villain has the ability that addresses this issue. One of the things that makes villains unique is the possibility of establishing a hideout or a lair, depending on your class. Reading online, I already know that each villain can create a single hideout or lair every 50 levels. Hideouts are areas that are considered safe zones for my underlings, which grants a few local buffs and offers a few customizable options. When I played as a necromancer, I made a lair inside a cave and I found deep inside the forest. This offered me the possibility of customizing the cave, like creating a sturdy door as well as furniture, but nothing truly massive. The cave also offered a few basic buffs for my summoned minions, like a small boost to restoration and their combat abilities. The ability was nice to have, but I never really considered it too powerful, as the gains were really small compared to my needs. That was before I came upon the quest, though. I always suspected that I was missing something, and since no villain to my knowledge ever stumbled upon a class quest, then I think that I just managed to break the mystery wide open. This quest is pretty much handing me a fully equipped location for me to use as a hideout. It fits like a hand in a glove. This place is supposed to be my new base of operations. The fact that Alzar dropped a soulbound master key only further cements my suspicions. Looking around the different rooms, I notice a few pieces of equipment that only confirms my thoughts. There's an alchemy lab in one of the rooms, a workshop fit for an engineer in another. The third has a whole bunch of magical contraptions I understand nothing about, while the fourth is completely empty. Remembering the different types of specialists I can recruit, I can only imagine 3 of the crafting stations are for the poisoner, the enchanter, and the tinkerer, while the storage room is probably for my fence. The final crafting station puzzles me for a moment until I facepalm. That one is obviously for me. This is awesome, though. The place is perfect for me to settle down. The building itself is very inconspicuous, and the hidden entrance to the hideout is masterfully concealed. It would take a miracle for any players to find me down here, unless I really frick up. And I can finally have a place where I can store my ill-gotten gains without risking losing everything due to some overly curious player randomly stumbling upon my hidden cache. With this place, I wouldn't have to worry about my character every time I log out of the game for a few hours, and I will have a small fortune when it comes to renting rooms in various inns. Oh God, the grief I could have saved myself if I managed to find the equivalent class quest for my necromancer. Hell, I would probably still be playing on him if I knew about this back then. Finding out about these quests and this place alone justifies my decision to re-roll into a new character. Walking back to the main hall, or should I say, prancing, I set my eyes upon the final door. I consciously saved the best room for last, and I can only imagine the final room is just for me. A place for me to rest, and hopefully some sort of secret vault stashed with all kinds of goodies. I'm starting to drool just at the thought alone. As with both side passages, I first send my cutthroats through ahead to scout and locate any potential dangers. They quickly return, giving me the thumbs up that it is safe to enter. I quickly make my way through the door, and I soon find myself inside a rather spacious living quarters. The room is perfectly square, with more furniture than I think I've ever seen in a randomly generated building. There's a large and luxurious bed propped up against the back wall, with a nightstand decorated with a golden candlelight holder beside it. At the center of the room, a large oak desk is placed facing the door. An equally luxurious padded oak chair is resting behind it. And the walls are covered with either a tall closet or an expensive-looking paintings. The floor is covered in a thick rug, and there are 2 rather large golden oil lamps hanging on either side of the room. One could say that this is a room fit for a king, or rather poor king, or maybe a merchant of mediocre standing perhaps. Anyway, that's beside the point. I can really picture myself at home here. Grinning, I open up my status page and locate the one ability I never thought I'd be so happy to use. Establish hideout. End of chapter. Chapter 48. Curiosity killed the thief. A sort of magical pressure permeates through the room for a few seconds, causing a slight tingle to crawl up my spine. The feeling disappears as quickly as it arrived, and the signals that the compound has successfully been transformed into my very own hideout. A grin spreads across my face as I take in the feeling of owning my very own secret lair. Just like what I dreamt about since I was a kid, this will be really helpful in the following months, and I can't wait to see how I can develop the hideout with the help of the Silver Saints. I just have a feeling that the Saints and my class is connected somehow, you know. That's video game logic for you in a nutshell. I'm so excited, I nearly forgot to do the one thing I came here for, which is obviously to tear the room apart, looking for any hidden loot. Anyone can tell you that the secret lair always needs to have at least a secret vault or a compartment filled with epic loot. It's common knowledge, after all. I have my underlings scour the room from top to bottom, carefully scrutinizing everything from the simple furniture to the smallest of cracks in the cobbled stone wall. Everything gets a look over at least twice, sort of like Santa's list. The first thing of interest I come across is a fun little surprise attached to the bottom of the oak desk at the center of the room. Really, it's super badass. There's literally a crossbow concealed beneath the desk, aimed at the door. How gangster is that? I love it. If it hadn't been because the crossbow is better than most gear my underlings use, I would have left it where it was. Customized crossbow, uncommon, 34 to 38 piercing damage. Plus 5 dexterity, plus 3 perception, requires level 10. While my underlings keep searching, I spend a few minutes trying to attach one of the low-level crossbows I picked up earlier to the desk, but I'm unable to attach it to the pre-made fittings. Apparently, the crossbow itself is customized to be attached to it, and I lack the necessary skills for the job. I have to admit that I am more than a little disappointed about this fact. We've already pilfered through the room for 10 minutes, and I'm getting a little worried and the room lacks any sort of safe or hidden compartment. Apart from the crossbow, the only other thing that we've come across is one of the numbered paintings that I've seen appear in most of my jobs. I frown. I refuse to believe the game developers would add a secret underground lair without adding a single hidden compartment. That's just completely irresponsible of them. I'm half a mind to write an angry letter to the customer support when a small wooden click resounds from the next to the bed. I swiftly turn around in a sudden noise. My eyes go wide in anticipation as I watch the secret panel behind the nightstand swing outwards, revealing a sturdy iron safe behind. Jackpot! I quickly make my way over to the safe, carefully eyeing the contraption that hid it. The safe was hidden behind a thin panel, perfectly camouflaged to look like a cobblestone wall around it. I spot a few hinges attached to the side of the panel, while the other side has a small indenture. which is probably what kept the panel locked in place. There is no visible handle or crack in the wall for anyone to easily open the panel, and I have to send my cutthroat a questioning glance until he points at a small button hidden in the roof of the bottom drawer on the nightstand. Wow, that's both incredibly cool and insanely cliché at the same time. It's definitely effective though. It's impossible to spot with your eyes, and the bottom is small enough that it's easily overlooked by someone who doesn't know what to look for. It almost makes me wonder how the cutthroat found it in the first place, but I guess that doesn't matter. He found it, and whatever the safe may contain, I'm certain that it's valuable. Rubbing my hands with a greedy grin on my face, I order my cutthroat to start picking the lock. The safe looks incredibly sturdy, and I would hate for it to be such a high level that my cutthroat will be unable to pick the lock. I'm an optimist, however, and I settle on the bed, carefully eyeing his progression as he works. He sits still, working on what feels an eternity, but is probably more like 15 minutes. My excitement is starting to slightly wane when a loud and final click resounds from the safe, signaling that my cutthroat was successful. Finally! I grin, jumping up from the bed. I kneel down next to the safe, putting my hand on the cold iron. Oh, the sweet ecstasy of getting loot. My underlings pile around me, trying to get a glimpse of whatever treasure is concealed behind. It's almost a little funny, really. Even computer programs are capable of showing this level of curiosity. Well, they have certainly earned it. They are the ones who bled for this after all. Cobra, most of all. Perhaps it would be a nice gesture for me to let him open the door while getting the safe. He certainly earned it, and I really want to show my appreciation in some way. Do you know what? What the hell? I'll let him do it. You fought well today, Cobra. Would you like to have the honor of getting the first look at the loot? I say, grinning at my lieutenant. Cobra's eyes go slightly wide, seemingly lost for words. Smiling, I slide to the side and gesturing for him to open it. Seeing this, Cobra guffaws. Thanks, boss. Don't mind if I do. He laughs, dropping down in front of the safe, putting his hand on the iron handle. Looking over both shoulders, he grins. Gather round, boys. Allow this humble ruffian to show you boys the fruits of our hard won. Cobra opens the door in the middle of his sentence, pulling the door open. His voice is cut abruptly short when the door swings fully open and a powerful magical blast shoots outwards, hitting Cobra in the middle of the chest. His powerful force flings him to my underlings backwards, and they slam into the wall at the other side of the room, being at the side of the safe. I avoid the majority of the blast, but I am still knocked backwards, slamming my head in the bed frame. You take 113 blunt damage. You are stunned. Speed reduced by 80% for 2 minutes. Vision reduced by 90% for 2 minutes. You have a cracked skull. Intelligence reduced by 50% for 10 minutes. Your underling human elite thug Cobra has died by enhanced force trap. Your underling half-orc thug 10 has died by enhanced force trap. Your underling gnome cutthroat 10 has died to enhanced force trap. I cough up a mouthful of blood and my head starts spinning. What the hell just happened? I blink, looking at the blurry room ahead of me. It takes me a few seconds for me to read the comprehension of messages in front of me, and when it finally sinks in, I allow my body to slump together. What the hell was that with that trap? It killed 3 of my underlings, one of them an elite lieutenant with 550 health points. Who the hell adds that kind of trap into a quest for level 10 players? I can feel my blood pulsing through my head as I try to suppress my budding anger. That was totally freaking uncalled for. We had no freaking way of spotting that kind of trap. What the other developers thinking, adding that kind of crap in here? If I had died, then that would have been the game over for my character. That's foul play right there. Not cool. I sit still and mutter a select few curses after a while, waiting for my crippling debuffs to pass. My vision is completely blurry, but I can spot movement from the other side of the safe. Right, it seems that my second cutburst managed to pull through. All the good that does me right now. The minutes passed excruciatingly slow, and I'm finally able to move around without feeling like a drunk toddler. I throw a quick glance towards my fallen underlings, cursing thrice more due to their unfair demise. I'm glad that I can secure all the gear, but their deaths were still a complete waste, and resurrecting them will be a burden to my already strained purse. My cutthroat managed to pull through the blast, being on the opposite side of the safe. It seems like he received a larger portion of the blast than me, as his health points are almost down to single digits. With a grunt, I order him to loot the bodies of his comrades while I check the safe. My mood is already broken, and I'll be really angry if there isn't anything less than 20-kilo gold nugget inside the safe. I shove my way towards the open safe, peering into the dark interior. Furrowing my brows, I notice 2 dusty tombs, as well as a couple of linen pouches. Seriously, I spit, what the hell kind of crap is this? I curse as I pull out the 4 objects with a little more force than necessary. When I finally get them into the light, I take a closer look at my so-called prize. 2 times basic skill book, luck, rare. Increases the luck-based skill to novice 10. Requires unlock luck stat skill between novice 1 and novice 9, level 5. Small gem pouch. 59 gold, 8 silver, and 2 copper. Drip. A single drop of blood drips from my nose as my brain tries to process the information in front of me. Drip. Holy mother of Santa's forgotten old grandma! Is this for real? These items! Oh my god, they are worth a fortune! A god-blessed fortune! How the hell is this possible? I sit still for an unknown amount of seconds, my mouth gaping at the immense wealth before me. This doesn't make sense. How can there be so many valuable items in this low-level quest? Are the developers for real? The sheer value of the items in this vault alone is almost enough to pay for the game's subscription for an entire month. Does every thief lord get access to this kind of treasure? Or am I just special? Did I find a secret compartment that I wasn't supposed to find? Granted, it took me a hell of a lot of time to find it, but still, if every villain who performs a job gets these kinds of rewards, then that could completely break the system. People could get infinitely level their characters to level 10, finish a class quest and sell the loot they find in a secret compartment, all in order to lead the character, roll a new one, and do the whole thing over again. A professional money grinder could probably manage to level to 10 2, possibly 3 times during a month if he played for roughly 15 hours per day. More if he got help. That should net him around 8 to 1200 gold. Maybe that's not a very lucrative job after all. Still though, for someone living in a poor country, this would be an infinite gold loop. Maybe less if the price of the skill books drop in the future. The developers have got to see this as a flaw, won't they? Perhaps it doesn't sound very tempting to try though. It sounds like the crappiest kind of job ever. I wouldn't last a month doing that. No, there has got to be a catch somewhere. There is no way that the developers would allow this kind of economic imbalance. Or do they? These are all sellable items, which means that the majority of the gold player makes comes from other people who are willing to buy them. If anyone would try to do this kind of grind, then the gold they earn would primarily come from other players who probably invest real money to the game. And since the game company takes a small cut of every transaction on the auction house and from people who convert real-life money to in-game gold, then they are looking at a steady increase in revenue from all sales. Cheeky bastards. First, they kill my underlings, and then they want to profit from it. Those brilliant jerks. Shaking my head, I take a better look at the safe in front of me. Customized iron safe, uncommon, container, lock quality poor, trap, none, 50 slots, permanent item. It seems like the ownership of the container transferred to me the moment we opened it, which is a good thing. I could just easily use a proper storage container, and this little beauty will do just fine. The safe differs a bit from the jewel box I obtained earlier, where the safe is not only bigger, but it also has an attached lock as well as the possibility of attaching a trap to it. It's a pity the trap seems to be a single use, or else I could probably just be guaranteed to kill whoever had the balls to steal from me. But at least it's something. Well, since the safe is now mine, I suppose I should put a majority of my valuables inside. They're safer under there than in my pockets, I guess. The safe is large, but it's not too large. I should therefore put all my spare armor and weapons into the armory I found earlier. Rooms like armories and storage rooms can serve the same function as regular storage containers, but only if they are part of their own building like a personal home or a guild hall, or in my case, a hideout. It's a neat little feature, and it only stresses the importance of having a place to call my own. Taking a few minutes to fill up both the safe and my armory with all the contents of my inventory, I feel ready to head back up to see Elf, only to bring about 20 gold to do a little shopping for new ingredients and schematics. I really ran my reserves dry during the quest, but I am not really in any position to complain. The benefits sure as hell dwarfed my expenditures. My only remaining underling and I depart my recently acquired hideout, taking care to conceal the entrance to the underground passage as well as locking the tavern up above. Unfortunately, it seems like Cobra completely broke the back door and we need to figure out a way to lock it all up. Since neither of us have any skill in carpentry, we use the time-tested strategy of stacking a bunch of crates in front of it. Luckily, Alzar dropped the key to the front door, so we won't have to worry about burying the entire building behind a stack of crates quite yet. The track back to Alf's store doesn't take too long, and I only take a moment to swing by the tavern to resurrect all my underlings. From experience, I know that my underlings who participated in the job or quest share in my experience rewards. 7 dead underlings may have lost the half of their level's worth of experience when they died, but the 1,000 reward from the quest should put them well over to catch up with me. And it's not even counting the bonus they get from my mental skill. After sending my underlings back towards the new hideout, I enter Ulf's store by myself. I've already realized that there is no point in me walking around with an escort, as I mostly won't be able to hide my identity for long if I'm discovered by any players anyway. I've already outleveled the majority of the randomly spawned criminals who roam the back alleys. As I enter the empty store, Alf gives me a quick glance before he disappears below the tall counter. The dwarf immediately darts out from behind it, running towards the entrance to lock it tight. I'm starting to get used to the secrecy and the eccentricity of the Silver Saints, so I stand quietly and watch until he's done. When Alf is finally satisfied that no one was following me, he turns towards me. "Well," he says, frowning. "Well, what?" "How did it go, you dimwit?" He muffles his shout, glaring at me. "Ah," I let out a grin. "Alzar and his tyrant organization are dead, as per your order." Squinting at me, Alf sets his shoulders droop. "Good work, boy. I have to admit, I didn't like your chances." I raise my eyebrows. I have to ask, how do you know that I'm not lying? You need any proof, I ask. Really, NPCs can't be this naive, can they? Tch, he snorts. Of course I knew you ain't lying, boy. You think I'm stupid. Every merchant that's worth a dime has the skill to detect lies. Huh, I didn't know that. I guess that's what happens when I play a class that hardly ever interacts with NPCs. I miss blatantly obvious information. So, I guess you want your reward now, huh? He grunts, rummaging through his pockets. Ah, here it is. He picks up an item from his pocket and throws it towards me. I catch it without fumbling, which is a huge step up for me. I guess the bonus I've gained to dexterity is finally starting to pay off. Before I can inspect the item, a notification lights up in my window. The class quest Syndicate Slaughter is successful. A thief lord has enemies at every corner, constantly challenging your authority. Since you seem to have a knack for overwhelming violence, your methods have grown to a level where you can suppress your enemies rather than having to need to outwit them. Keep going, thief lord. Your path has only begun. Rewards: 1,000 experience, 1 class unique item, 17 pieces of equipment, 5 miscellaneous items, 95 gold, 5 silver, and 8 copper. Congratulations, you have reached level 11. You have gained 3 free attribute points and 1 skill point. My grin threatens to split my face in two as I read the notification. Wow, I didn't even realize how many items I managed to loot during the quest. These numbers are huge. Well, I hadn't even reached level 11. This day just keeps getting better. And I haven't even checked what my class unique item is. With great anticipation, I inspect the small object in my hand. Thief Lord Signet Ring, class unique. Per 5 level gain, plus 3 charisma, plus 3 luck. Soulbound, special. Once every 10 hours, completely block any attempt to uncover the Thief Lord's identity for 10 minutes. This feature is automatically triggered when a first attempt. What the hell? I can't use this. End of chapter. And that, my friends, concludes this patch video. If you enjoy the story, please don't forget to go and show the author some support. And if you wish to support this channel, there are links down below. The easiest way to support this channel would be to subscribe and share as much as possible to help this channel grow. And I'll see you all in the next video, and until then I hope you all keep well and safe. Cheers.